This is my game for Coursework 2. Basic idea is it's a turn-based battle. You're over here, your ally is here, and the enemy is sitting ahead of you over here. You get a chance to do one of 4 moves every turn. You've got an attack, a super attack, steal, or use an item. The ally has the same moveset. The enemy has a slightly different moveset. Basics of that can be seen up here. It can self-destruct, it can defend, it can attack either the player or the ally, and it can heal. So, when it starts up, you take your first turn. Not everything is available straight away. As you can see, when I go to use an item, nothing happens. This is because you don't currently have one. So instead, I will charge up a super attack. Now when you do this, it charges up, you wait 1 turn, on your next turn, that's when it attacks. It does more damage than a normal attack, as you will see when I get back around to me. My ally is choosing to steal. They attacked me. My super attack did a total of 6 damage. The normal attack did 1. It then self-destructed, which does a large amount of damage to both me and my ally. So, when the player has their turn, they can choose one of their things. Because the ally stole last turn, I now have the choice of using an item. I'm going to use it on myself here. It heals 5 points. Because the bag is now empty, the ally is going to steal again. The enemy attacked the ally. So, the player gets to choose whatever they do as normal. When the ally has to choose their go, what's running in the background is a very, very strict behaviour tree. When the ally is created, a struct full of just balls, just booleans, is created. These booleans are dynamically changed over the course of the game to cover whether or not the enemy has an item, whether or not there's an item in the bag, whether the player's HP is above or below a certain amount, same for the ally's HP, same for the enemy HP. These are dynamically changed over the course of the game. This will change the outcome of the tree. And each choice at the end relates to either attack, super attack, steal, or use an item. The ally does focus on keeping me alive. So one of the first things it checks is there an item in the bag? And then following that, is the player's HP below a certain amount? If both of those things are true, it will instantly use the item and heal me. If there is no item, it will steal one, assuming the enemy has one. When the enemy has a turn, it runs some fuzzy logic. It looks at the current HP of all 3 characters. It looks at what colour each of the characters are, because that also affects how much damage is done, because I've got some almost elemental weaknesses going on. And using those factors, it decides it answers the questions: should I use an attack? Should I self-destruct? Should I defend? Should I heal? This is then spread across a probability distribution. The probabilities of these can be seen in the top right. So for the last turn, the probability of it healing was the highest, followed by attacking the ally, followed by attacking the player, and then self-destruct and defend were quite low. As we saw, it ended up choosing to attack the ally. Once we get to a score of a multiple of 5, we enter a stat raising part of the game, which I will skip to now. We've reached the score of 5. We're in the stat raising part of the game. In this, player gets to choose one of the 4 stats to raise. Then the ally gets to raise a stat. The ally will just raise a random stat. We have no control over that. The enemy will look at what stat the player raised. It will also look at how well the player and ally have been doing so far. It looks at how much HP both the player and ally have left after the 5 rounds. It looks at the average number of turns that it takes the characters to defeat the enemy. And using them, it decides what stats to raise and by how much. It's a dynamic system that can also lower some stats if it sees the player and ally doing particularly poorly. So I'm going to raise my HP here. As you can see, the HPs have been refilled and are higher than at the start. I now get to choose a colour. I'm going to go for green. The ally will get a random colour, and every time the enemy spawns, they also get a random colour. The ally turned blue this time, and we get a red enemy. There we go. I could further this and add a third AI by having a machine learning set in there, which would look at spawning the correct color of enemy. So I would have maybe like a loading screen that in the background is training the AI and training the enemy spawner. And then when we get to the fight, as is going on right now, it would spawn the most appropriate color depending on the 2 colors that are currently seen for the player and the ally. This isn't currently implemented. I may further this later on and implement this at some point. That's it. That's all I've got AI wise. Thanks very much.